Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of NASA's plans to kill the world off, or so it seems. So going from the page we was at last time, it was page 31, there's over 100 pages in this, so there's a possibility there might be a third video, but I don't know. So at the end of the last one, we was talking about the major law enforcement issues that might come along. I think, things like road and air rage will come along with rapid technological changes, societal disaffection, no one will care, upheaval, psychosomatic illness, which is, they're already openly talking about mental health and stuff now. So, of particular concern, uncontrolled, uncontrollable self-replication of brilliant bots, IT, not smart bots, but brilliant bots. These ones are next level apparently. Nano-replicators and rampant recombinant bio. So this, I don't know what it is, but I can imagine it's not good. Maybe it's like making the bacteria in mud eat themselves or duplicate themselves to make flows of mud flood. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Anyway, let's carry on with all these crazy things. Current competitive landscape. So what they're saying it will be is US produces only 18% of the money of the world, 70% of research conducted in other countries, $400 billion a year, trade deficit. I thought it was more than that. I don't know, I don't really pay attention. 32 other nations devote a larger percentage of their GDP to research. A fifth in number of R&D personnel labour unit. 3% savings rate versus 30% in Asia. So it's basically saying, a lot of everything's going over to Asia, which we can already see happening anyway. 13th out of 30 student math science scores. What that has to do with this page, I have no idea. Anyway, an emerging multipolar economic world. So this is saying where the growth of the world has been going for the past 25 years. So 25 years ago, America and Europe were creating everything. And as time's gone by, what you'll see is all of them, which is US, Europe, India, Japan and Brazil, are becoming less able to provide for the world, or are just providing less for the world in rates of the share of GDP. And China's obviously the only one that actually increases, and we already know that. We already see that the amount of exporting China does and production that they do, see that they're already taking over. So bio-revolution applications. Farm with pH, animals. So they're going to do drugs and spare parts. So they'll grow parts of animals, which you can see on the documentary channels that they're already doing stuff like this, creating apparently super steaks out of the finest breeds by getting their DNA. It's disgusting. Fast-growing plants on or near sea surface, and seawater irrigated plants for biomass energy, closed CO2 cycle. So yeah, this is the solution to the so-called global warming, by doing this seawater irrigation in deserts and creating plants and stuff for food. They reckon by doing this, it will require a lot of CO2, so they'll be taking the CO2 back out of the atmosphere, using it to create this cheap free food for everyone to live off, so we don't, use up all the good food. Polymer growing plants. Spider genes in goats allow spider silk spinning from the goat milk for biosteel. It's 3.5 times stronger of aramid fibers armor, binary bioweaponry. There's stuff on YouTube about this as well. You can find they've been doing this for a few years. Examples: confluence of IT, bio, nano. Brain of a sea lamprey inserted, connected to a body of a robotic fish. So it's an initial cyborg, first one of its kind, apparently, whatever a lamprey is. This one's crazy. Choo Choo, a flesh plant eating robot that hunts, biodigests natural foods to live off the land. So this will be basically going around killing off anything and everything that's not deemed to live. If you see one of these Choo Choos coming towards you better go whew, real fast. Not like there's anywhere to go with some of these technologies though. So, carbon nanotubes, C1 million, Buckminster fullerene carbon, 100 times strength, 1/6 of the weight of steel, 8 times better armour, low energy molecular petaflop, computing 10 times to the power of 4 usage, ultra capacitor, high temperature SC, whatever that is. Revolutionary power generation and storage opportunities. So these are the new ways of, generating and storing it. Ultra capacitors, advanced fuel cells for lithium, water and air. HEDM, which I don't know what HEDM stands for. Example, solid H2 isomers, antimatter, etc. Advanced PV, solar panels, 50%, whereas at the moment they do a lot less than that. Room temperature, SMES, don't know what that is. C nanotube storage of H2 non-cryo. Offshore methane hydrate, so dry out methane in the ocean. Black light power. I've heard of black mirrors. I mean, how do you generate power from black lights? If anyone knows, please do let me know in the comments. I'd like to know that. And then whatever these two are as well. Freeform fabrication, powder wire metallurgy, using robotic magnetically steered electron beams to create accrediting local melts, grow instead of cut. So they'll grow their wires and stuff instead of cutting them out of materials, resources. No fasteners, no strong backs for fasteners. Nearly infinite fatigue life, excellent metallurgy. Metallurgy. Repairable metals at lower weights than far more expensive composites. Aluminium vortex combustor. Micro-powdered aluminium fed into a vortex combustor. It burns seawater. Provides AIP with high energy density efficiency for inexpensive SS with near SSN perfection. Transoceanic UUVs, so these are underwater drones, would allow enemy after next, CONUS, to affordably threaten CONUS via multitudinous inshore short time of flight pop-ups. Basically, this can cause people to appear in a short matter of time with issues in places of CONUS, whatever that means in detail. I do not know. So, new sensors or sample newer sensors. LiDAR with 50% efficiency via SC optical amplifiers. Also femtosecond lasers. Molecular biosensors. But Molech is also the name of their god as well, I think. Nano tags, smart card sensors, sensors implanted during manufacturing and servicing. So even if you get your old TV repaired somewhere, sensors will be put into it. Nano IR, 10 to the power of -6 sensitivity, which is so sensitive. And smart dust, one of the worst. So, some sensor swarms. Smart dust, cubic millimeter or less, combined sensors, comms and power supply, floats in air currents. Nano tags placed on everything, everywhere, identification and status info. And then co-opted insects, which are, either robotic ones or they can use live ones to do their work as well. Some explosive smart dust opportunities. There's explosive and non-explosive smart dust, but obviously this is explosive for now. Optimal positioning for explosive dust, air explosives, formation of explosive lenses, infiltration of deeply buried other such targets. So this dust can target its way into mountains and underground caverns and stuff in search of its target, and then explode when it reaches it. Microdust weaponry, a mechanical analogue to biomicron-sized mechanized dust, which is distributed as an aerosol and inhaled into the lungs. Dust mechanically bores into lung tissue and executes various pathological missions. A wholly new class of weaponry which is legal and being used now in chemtrails. Givens, not too soon. All these freaking things again. So what they're saying is it will be automatic in the near future. Gigabyte data transfer rates, optical comms. So I think we're already there anyway. Petaflop and computing. Not there publicly, but maybe in the commercial world. Exceptional AI from bioinformatics and biomimetrics. Wondrous, ubiquitous land, sea, air, space, multiphysics, hyperspectral sensor swarms, military, commercial, and scientific ones. So these will be a marvel to look at when they're doing their thing, but they'll be deadly too. Survival requires dispersion, size reduction, and concealment. So the only way they'll get these types of things to survive, these swarms and stuff, is by making them smaller and harder to find, so people can't get rid of them. Robotic swarm technology is primarily commercial and endemic worldwide. So yeah, they'll do it for business purposes, but obviously it's the military that's created them, and it's the military that probably owns the patents to them and the rights to them. Agreed upon assumptions. Combat in 2025, 5 years from now. Proliferation of TBMs, IT, precision strike, targeting. Oh, go away. Proliferation, TBMs, IT, precision strike, targeting, ubiquitous microsensors, camo spoofing, robotics, biochem munitions, logistic assets highly vulnerable in or out of theatre. What theatre is, I do not know. In and near theatre ports, airfields, possibly unusable. Beam weapons increasingly prevalent. Cruise missiles, current status. So this is how they are as the document was made around 20 years ago. Range payload similar to TBM at fraction of the cost and far greater accuracy. 75,000 of these cruise missiles in inventory of 75 countries. I know it's not exactly 1,000 per country, but if you spread them out, it's roughly 1,000 per country. 130 different versions produced in 19 countries, 10 exporting countries. So half of them creators are actually selling them around the world. German V1 cruise killed 5,000 and injured 40,000. Low launchable, anywhere from anything, highly manoeuvrable. Then year, cost potential reduced to 10 grand, 25 grand. Warheads, carbon fibers, EMP submunitions, volumetrics. They're saying, you know, at the moment missiles cost a fortune, 100 grand to £1 million or whatever. Now they're going to go down massively, so they're so cheap. Cruise missiles, potential outlook. Any RPV, UAC or UUV as a potential cruise missile. So 50 countries have UAVs as it is. So, you know, cruise missiles will be a potential to be everywhere and anywhere. Low cost and ready availability of requisite technology. Components essentially ensure the enemy after next will have inventory, fields or hordes of very capable, easily concealed, very difficult and expensive to counter accurate cruise missiles with a potential devil brew of warheads. Could have put a few commas in there, couldn't they? But yeah, they're saying pretty much anyone can go to war with this stuff about. Won't cost much, and you have an absolute choice of what you like to use in destruction. So volumetric weaponry, alternatives to HE, EMP, info, net, psi warfare. Miniature brilliant sensor mine combos. So they'll have miniature mines in the dust that float in the air that can find things and people. It's crazy. Fuel, air and dust air thermobarics. RF, chemo, bio, anti-functionals, anti-fauna. Isomers, strained bond energy release, carbon fibers and blades, acoustics, etc. Anti-personal, medium wave, microwave and RF weaponry. Heating, high power requirements. So this takes a lot of energy still to create microwave weaponry and stuff, and radio frequency weaponry. Surface effects, brain interactions, low frequency modulation, which is basically 5G when it gets rolled out by the government free of charge. It'll be their way of saying, die quietly on the internet. Effects of lower power microwaves, U.S. Army, SRI, Walter Reed. So these are the things that can happen to you with these microwave technologies that I was just saying on the last page. Behavioural performance decrements, seizures, gross alteration in brain function, 30% to 100% increases in blood flow, lethality, interactions between low power, microwatts per centimetre, 3 to 4 microwave and brain function. So there'll be fingerprintless bioarchipelago, bacteriological, viruses, prions, parasites, fungi, carcinogens, toxins, hormones, regulators, fatal disabling, short to long time scales, anti-flora-fauna functional, direct and undetectable binary, natural genomic and biohacking. Excuse me. Some interesting Benyer BW possibilities. Don't know what BW means, but inflatoxin. So aflatoxin. I just noticed. I went past something and I forgot. There was a bit on one of the pages back there talking about Operation Whitecoat. So Operation Whitecoat is a biodefense medical research program carried out by the United States, Maryland, between the 50s and 70s. The program pursued medical research using volunteer enlisted personnel who were eventually nicknamed Whitecoats. Neurocortical warfare, the acme of skill. If McPeak is correct, I believe he is. The opposite proportion should be true. If that is, the country employs air and space power thoughtlessly or unimaginatively, this power will be less effective or even disastrously impotent. To help avoid such grave risks in the future, the thesis of the article takes at least one step behind McPeak's already powerful sight. The article argues blah, 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 blah. I don't know. So getting back to aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a poisonous carcinogen and mutagen that's produced in certain moulds which grow in soil, decaying vegetation, hay and grains. So this is something that grows naturally but is actually really bad for you and poisonous. And they're saying it's going to be a technology, a weapon, aflatoxin, natural, parts per billion, carcinogen. Airborne varieties of Ebola and Lassa, etc. Binary agents distributed via imported products. So your vitamins, your clothing and your food are all going to have binary agents in them. So, if you can grow your own food, do so. And if you can eat healthy with it, do so you don't need them vitamins. And then all you've got to worry about is your clothing. Genomically, individual societal targeted pathogens. So they'll have pathogens that will be airborne, whatever, and they'll only affect the people that they want to be affected. Long-term fingerprintless campaign, as opposed to shock and awe. So no one will ever get finger pointed out as the person to blame for it, even though we can blame the person that created this entire document because he's put his name to the paper. However, this is saying that no one will ever get done for it, just like how the entities that rule the world now, the worst thing that ever happens to them is they have fines. No one ever goes to jail. So, an existing biocarmative, VEE, Venezuelan equine encephalitis. So, ideal INCAP BW agent, weaponized by US and USSR in the 50s and 60s. Early transmitted via aerosol. Highly infectious, low fatality rate. 1 to 5 day incubation, 3-week recovery. Tested on humans, Operation Whitecoat. Oh yeah, there's the Operation Whitecoat that I just said about. So this V was tested on people, and they chose to have it done. And it's highly infectious, slow, and it doesn't kill you. You have to spend 1 to 5 days incubated, and then spend 3 weeks recovering. No treatment available. Kind of sounds like the coronavirus at the moment, doesn't it? They do something similar to that now. And there's no treatment for it other than recovery in quarantine. So, frontiers of rapidly growing genomic in situ bio on the battlefield. So there's sustainment, food, water, energy, meds, health, computing, clothing. Greatly reduces logistics tail and enhances capabilities. Pardon me. The lethality, capabilities, enhancement, armor. Excuse me again. Concealment, living camo, sensors, bioweaponry, anti-personal functional biovirus, into other biocomputer explosives. N2 fixation, grow overnight, so they can create their bombs overnight by growing them. What is apparently legal? Microwave, radio frequency, anti-functional and anti-personal weaponry. Anti-personal weaponry. Chemical anti-functional weaponry. Chemical psychological effects via sensory organs weaponry. For example, smell, so they can make bad smells or hideous smells of death or whatever they want. Find you and attach to you, and then for as long as they want, even the rest of your life, you can't smell anything but. Excuse me. Chemical personnel incapacitation weaponry, non-warfare, hostage and terrorism only. So, chemical personnel incapacitation weaponry. This one is not allowed in war, but they'll let it be used in hostage and terrorism situations. You know, how is it that they can come out with all this? And you sit there, and that's another thing. That thing on TV this morning about someone going out and killing people last night, or Germany or wherever it was. And it's the same every time in every country. The person's always a terrorist, part of a terrorist group, or an individual that looks into so-called conspiracy theories that then goes out and kills a bunch of innocent people. For a start, if you look into conspiracy theories, they're all about trying to point the blame at not innocent people, but the guilty people. So why on earth would anyone that looks into conspiracy theories go out and kill a bunch of innocent people? It's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, carrying on with this. So what is apparently legal? Chemical personnel, and yeah, we just said that one. Psy-war, which is already going on. Acoustic weaponry, which I've already made. They'll use them in protests and stuff in the future when people kick off a bit more. Basically, pumping sound into you. You might not be able to hear the sound, but it will make you throw up. It will make you stand still. You just won't be able to move, and it's the worst. Anyway, mechanical microdust. Future non-nuclear explosives for volumetric weapons of mass effect. Metastable interstitial composite. Cubanes, don't know what that is. But whatever it is, it's 6 times stronger than TNT. Fuel to air, dust to air explosives. Order of 15 TNT, which is crazy. Strain bond energy release. Order of 100 TNT, 100 times TNT, sorry. Hafnium metastable isomers. And that's in the order of 1,000 to 100,000 TNT. If you saw that footage of an explosion in China a year or two ago, and it looked like it was what you'd imagine a nuclear explosion to be. It was just an absolutely massive explosion. Well, that's what I imagine might have been what it was. Could be wrong. So, high energy density materials, HEDM, power explosives and propellants. Tetrahedral, 600 plus seconds, atomic bomb, blah, 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 blah. You can read that, I don't really know what that's for. Transoceanic UAVs. So they have UAVs that just live in the ocean, constantly looking for people. Current capacity will be very light. It will go very far. It has 1.5 gallons of fuel, and it will do 2,000 miles on 1.5 gallons of fuel. It's considering planes today don't really use that much fuel anyway. Their engines are air engines. That seems completely fine. That don't sound like that's futuristic at all. And then something else can go 5,000 miles. So these will provide capability for undetectable, ultra inexpensive swarms against CONUS. Interesting precision payloads. These are the payloads that these transoceanic UAVs can carry. ISR, smart dust, explosive smart dust, targets exploding hazmat trucks. So they can automatically, without someone directing them, they can locate and target and explode trucks with hazardous materials. That's what hazmat means. Hazardous materials on them, or chemicals on them, or plants, oil storage, refineries, plants being machinery, not the ground plants. Oil storage, refineries. So these things can notice them and pick up on them without a human interaction telling them what to do. They can also carry biodispensers, anti-people, things and plants. They can carry EMPs, brilliant miniature sensors, mine combos, CNTs, power lines, wire blade. Don't really know what that means, but probably isn't good. So here's one that starts appearing quite a lot, and the rest of the document goes on. Blast wave accelerator, global precision strike on the cheap. No barrel, 200-foot notched rails, sequentially detonated distributed HE. Mach 21 or less as desired, up to £3,000. Base anywhere, £200 projectile. Stealth, excellent stealth because it has no plume. Affordability, ferocity, reaction time, survivability, recallability and effectiveness. Being worked at Aberdeen and NASA MSFC for lofting of fuel and nanostats. So the next page is a picture of what this is trying to say. But this is basically, you don't need spaceships to get up to space. Not that space is real, by the way, but they've already got this technology which they could use to fire things up in the sky. But you know, you're only hearing about it on a freaking document. 300 meters long, 9 foot, gyrating on a 3 meter radius. So there's 3 meters between each set of rings. And basically what they're claiming is they'll be able to put payload fuels for their spaceships on this, which is in the ground, and this will projectile right up into space, as you can see there. Shoots off, and that's what they're claiming. Kind of makes me think a little bit about Hadron Collider, because that's a large circular thing underground, but who knows? Who knows if it's actually for projecting things into sky or if it's for other purposes. So the Slingertron for global precision strike, crazy. It can fire 10 kilogram projectiles up to thousands a minute. They can go global, earthly. I don't like using the word global. They can go earthly or less range, so they can go all the way to the other end of the Earth or closer. The device is $20 million, and it's 80 meters in diameter. It's quite big. Mechanical on-the-ground propulsion via gyrating spiral guide tube, multiple hula hoops. So that's the picture we was just looking at just then, is the Slingertron. Via hula hoop. Poor man's global precision, so strike takedown weapon. So this is a weapon for poor people, you know, maybe a tyrant in a third world country that runs the whole country and the money going in and out of it, but just can't afford a nuclear bomb. He can get one of these instead, so he can still do the destructive things that he wants to do. Absolutely insane. Denier, targeting, connectivity, etc. Military overhead system, ubiquitous commercial overhead system, scientific overhead system. So these will be the new powers that be. that we everything will have to answer to in the public world when the changes, the futuristic changes take place, that is. So optical comms already exists. Example, potential competitor military surveillance intelligence, targeting damage assessment, utilization of internal scientific global change programs, ASICs. So video is going to end here in a couple of minutes, and I'm still only about, well, I'm just over halfway. So I will try and smash out the rest of it in one video. So although I have been going quite quick for these 2 videos I've done already, I'll have to go a little bit quicker on the next one, but I'll try not to rush it so you can't pick up on the information. Normally I say I hope you enjoyed, but today I hope you've all woken up and you'll see what's coming. And take care all, and I'll see you all soon with part 3, hopefully the final part of this. Take care and God bless. Bye.